Hello, everyone. We are live here with 16-Bit from Splinterlands and Gene Poole himself joining us on stream to chat about Splinterlands, Roonies, and anything else that you guys can come up with questions for. 16-Bit, why don't you introduce yourself as if anyone doesn't know you? Looks like you're muted there.
Stymied by the mute button again. All right. So first of all, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody who's joining. I'm Vice President of Sales at Splinterlands. I actually came on board in February, so I've been around for a little while now. You know, just kind of lucked into the position a little bit, having known Egg Road for a pretty long time. We used to be colleagues together once upon a time back in the day. So happy to be here and be a part of the community and a part of what we have going on here.
And I think we all know Gene. Gene, why don't you introduce yourself for anyone that may not?
Yeah, so I've been excited to be a part of YGG SPL since I started with Splinterlands. I was a crypto skeptic, not involved with crypto at all, and started looking for play to earn opportunities, and Splinterlands seemed to have the best community. Was fortunate to get involved with the brawlers early on, and made a few significant investments into the game, and really started putting some time into the DAO, and have been excited by the opportunities and everything that Splinterlands has taught me about crypto and then the community that we've been building with the YGG SPL. And so I guess I'm exactly what Splinterlands is hoping to do, and taking the normies and teaching people about crypto. So it worked for me.
And there's just such great on-ramps, like just to pitch that for a second, like there's no easier way to get into Web3 gaming, in my opinion. But that's not exactly what we're here to talk about. This has been just the most crazy last couple of weeks, at least from my perspectives for Splinterlands. So many things selling out, so much excitement. And I think one of the big things we want to talk about here today was Roonies. Did you have stuff you wanted to share specifically?
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, it's part of the broader, the big picture of what we're trying to do. So maybe I'll back up just a little bit and just sort of, you know, kind of recap how we got to where we are here today. So Splinterlands has been around for well over 4 years. It's been launched for well over 4 years. So that makes us a little bit of a unique Web3 game, right? So we were doing play to earn before anybody was using the term play to earn. But for us, it was always a feature of the game. The point of what we do is to build entertainment value, produce entertainment value, and build community around it. Play to earn happens to be one component of that. But, you know, in general, we want everybody here to be having a good time. So over the course of 4 years, I mean, we've been doing quite a bit, you know, to continue to develop the Splinterlands platform. And it's, you know, it's not always easy and smooth as you might imagine. You know, you have mistakes made and fixed. You have different things that you learn along the way. You pick up good tips on observations from other projects, other products, and you sort of put it all together. And as long as you have a good ethos and a good passion for it, like especially our co-founders do, right? You end up with something that has this level of success. You know, so Splinterlands reach is pretty big. We have over 2 million accounts. We have over 900,000 unique active wallets, 175,000 plus people in Discord. You know, there's 3 to 5 million battles being played every day, over 3 billion battles played in the history of Splinterlands, which is kind of insane because each one of those is a blockchain transaction, right? So that's on top of all the different market transactions. But even with all of that said, you know, in the bigger picture of gaming in general, the gaming industry, I mean, we're a grain of sand on the beach. And by we, I mean Web3 gaming. It's growing really, really fast, but over a third of the world's population plays video games, and you got this gaming industry that's bigger than the movie and the music industries combined. You know, with Web3 gaming, even with all the momentum, we still have a lot of ground to cover, which is awesome. So there's a lot of green field in front of us. So
can I ask just kind of maybe I don't know if this is a fair question or not live, but who's your targets? Like, what are you looking for as your goals? Like, you say that there's a long way to go. What's your target?
Yeah, so we really favor this idea of frictionless crypto, right? Like gaming is a wonderful educational tool. So before coming here, I worked for these different ed tech startup companies, education technology startup companies. So this is a very familiar concept. There's a lot of learning science around gamification being, making information sticky, and it helps us to learn things. So gaming is actually a wonderful way, and Gene Pool actually referenced this. It's a wonderful way to learn DeFi. Wonderful way to learn more about crypto. Do it at your own pace and step into it. So we really want to create these frictionless on ramps into the game and have it be accessible to normal Web2 gamers. And so what we think needs to happen is to make those on ramps, those rails, be very effective and easy to use and non-threatening and not scary. Maybe back off using some of the the buzzwords and all of that, and just make it feel normal and fun for the masses. And so that's really, I think, at the end of the day, who we're after. There's kind of two different groups. There's the Web2 audience, the sort of the early majority type, right? The folks that, if they hear the right sort of incentive to come and join, and it's typically going to be tied to entertainment value or some sort of IP, then I think that we have a good chance to try to pull them into this space. The other group, or I guess groups of people that we hope to attract are the Web3, other Web3 communities. So for us, that brings kind of an interesting challenge at times. As big as we are, as well known as we are, I keep finding out consistently how few people really, and just in Web3 in general, really know all that much about Splinterlands. We're on the Hive blockchain, which is great for us. It's great for gaming. It handles all those, billions of battles seamlessly. It has features that gives us that, some of those frictionless on ramps, like your wallet addresses, your in-game name, for example, a long string of random letters and numbers. It has the multi-key system, all those wonderful things. But that's great. But the double-edged sword to that is, most of these other Web3 communities, they're or NFT communities especially, they're on Ethereum somewhere, or Polygon or somewhere else. And so I think we also need to start to extend a hand out to some of these other communities, and that's where that Rooney project comes in. So here we have our first generative ETH NFT collection. We're calling it Rooney Core, Rooney for short. And the basic idea is that we're going to mint these NFTs, 6,500 of them on Ethereum, but also bridge that into the game so that you can have your own one-of-one Rooney, which will have its own unique artwork to it. And we have a way that will actually be playable as a card and a character in Splinterlands. And everywhere the Rooney appears, whether it's on OpenSea or inside of Splinterlands in a battle, wherever, that unique artwork is going to render. That's going to be visible to anybody that's seeing that card.
And could you remind me just how fast that whitelist sold out again? I know that I almost got messed up by that. It was really fast. How fast was it?
59 seconds, I think.
No. Okay, 59 seconds.
I don't know. It was less than a minute.
Oh man, I had an issue and almost missed the sale. I barely got in there. It was a close thing.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up because I mentioned there's going to be 6,500 of these things minted. That was a 2,000 spot whitelist pre-sale where you could buy with vouchers a discount, basically, to buy your actual Rooney on mint day. But I have an additional bank of whitelist spots that I'm giving away. It doesn't come with that voucher discount, but additional whitelist spots that I'm giving away to help attract people to watch these AMAs. So I'm going to be giving away a group of whitelist spots just for the folks who are attending here today and watching the stream. So actually, I think Lorcas, you have the the Google form.
Yeah, you ready for me to share that?
Yeah. So if you can go ahead and share that so that folks can see it. But all you have to do is go in there, throw your ETH wallet address and a preferred contact, preferred name, preferred contact, just in case we need to get in touch with you. It doesn't have to be your real name; it can be whatever. But a way for us to find you if we have a question for you. But as long as we have that ETH wallet address, especially, we're going to pick I think 10 spots out of the group to give away 10 additional whitelist spots. Something
That's
else
awesome.
to
And so we're going to keep that open for a little while after the stream as well. Is that what I understood?
Yeah. So if you're not able to make it live, but you're watching it after you get home from work today or whatever it is, we want to make sure that you have a shot to get in there. So yeah, and then if we can get help from the YGG SPL community or anybody else listening, do you think that other communities would be interested in the types of things that we do, whether it be Splinterlands or some of the other things that I'm going to talk about here today, or the Rooney Project? If you can make some introductions to other communities you might be a part of, and help me set up some AMAs to evangelize the things that we're doing. I have more whitelist spots to give away as well, and certainly to those that help me set some of that kind of stuff up as a thank you. So
we had an interesting question here from Baron Crypto. I think you would clicked the wrong button. Sorry. There we go. I will repost that link as well.
Okay, perfect. And for folks watching on the live stream after, they can still access that link, right?
Yeah, and does Baron Crypto had a question there? Does the whitelist include the discount? How does the whitelist spots work from this?
Yeah, so the whitelist spots will just give you 7 days from when the mint starts to go ahead and redeem it and make the purchase. These whitelist spots don't come with the discount. That was really meant for the big sale, right? The community sale, and that was in exchange for vouchers. So you would have had to redeem vouchers in that first group of 2,000 to get those. So I apologize, but it's whitelist spots that guarantee your Rooney core with, for sure.
Yeah, that's great news. And thanks for answering the questions. I think these are the things that people are going to want to know. So appreciate that.
No problem at all. No problem.
And so did you want to talk about the Roonies, right? We talked about the numbers. I think most of the people on here probably know about the stats. Is there anything else that would be fun to talk about with those? I'm still blown away that so many pre-sales happened and that the sales happened the way they did. Roonies, man, I think I wanted to, and I got the second one. I think there were 20 left, and I couldn't believe that they were selling out that fast. I thought I had more time.
Yeah, they went quick. I think probably the most interesting thing about the Rooney Project to me, and a lot of you probably have a sense for this already, there are things that we know with certainty now about Rooney, right? There's the article on PeakD that was published that sort of goes through the details. We know that how we're going to use this Ethereum NFT in Splinterlands, the game on Hive. We know that it's customizable. We know that they have 10 different levels to them, each with thousands of, tens or hundreds of thousands of levels of customization on each layer. What's interesting to me is, so the big picture here, we have this extended handout to Ethereum communities, NFT communities with this Rooney Project. We have every intention of dreaming up more ways that these things are going to be useful down the road that we don't know yet, right? And if you look at the bigger picture of what we're up to, we're building additional games at this point. You all have probably heard of Tower Defense. We just did a pack pre-sale on Tower Defense last week. You may have heard also that we
certainly do know about that, and I would love to hear more about it if you have some hot tips. I know that those packs are going to be. Are they openable now or openable today? I can't remember now. I lost track of my days.
They aren't. They should be. We haven't announced exactly when yet, but I think you know.
Oh, Rift Watcher. Sorry, I'm getting my packs messed up. Those
Yeah,
are openable.
Rift
There's too
Watchers.
many packs that just sold out.
Yeah, that only took, let's see, that one was 99 seconds. Rift Watchers sold out 500,000 packs.
Just
Which is
madness.
insane. The cool thing about that one too is that it allowed us to fund the DAO, right? So you have to purchase Rift Watchers with SPS. It was a dollar value of SPS, and all of that money, none of that was revenue for the company. That was all SPS that went to the DAO treasury. And so, you know, if you're an SPS owner and you're staking that SPS, and you either own an SPS validator node license already, or you're thinking about purchasing one, you know, that will be, you know, like this becomes a way to support decentralized ownership of the games that we're building of Splinterlands. And,
Yeah, it's just brilliant. We talked about that a little amongst our alliance over the last few weeks about how interesting that these cells were, and this one in particular is fascinating because the Splinterlands as a company did not make the money. It was going to the DAO to fund the game in the future, and that's very interesting to us as we also are a DAO. And as part of that DAO, we own nodes, we own SPS. So these things are very interesting, and we do pay attention, and very very excited about the direction there and the ability to create syncs. We had tokens in a lot of different places around the community, and now there was a whole lot of places to spend them all at once, and that's exciting to watch. People have to make choices, which is sometimes hard. But this has been fun to watch. Whether you could, to me, whether you could join in all of it or not, it's been really exciting. But yes, our DAO has been very excited. Our community's been very excited. It's great to hear your thoughts on it because I see this as a really strong thing for the community. I'm curious if there's other communities that you're planning to reach out to beyond the ETH community. I know that it's got its detractors and its proponents. Are there other communities that you're looking to as well?
yeah, I mean, frankly, any community can become a part of our community, right? So it doesn't matter what chain you're on. And I believe Matt Rosen, our co-founder and chief product officer, is going to join us on stage here shortly too. But I'll quote him. One of the things that he loves to talk about is, look, there's going to come a point where nobody cares what blockchain you're on, right? They're just going to care about what the experience they're having is. And, you know, I think that day is coming, and we can debate, you know, when, but I think it's a when, not an if. And so, you know, I think, you know, having the Rooney become this sort of direct outreach into these Ethereum-based communities is really, really cool. And maybe we have other projects that we launch that have, you know, specific implications on other blockchains, you know, whether it's Avalanche or Polygon or Mirror or whatever. And we never shut down conversations about how we might be able to, you know, bridge into some of these other chains. But frankly, any one of us can become a part of projects that are on any chain at any given moment. So, you know, I think the big thing is just getting the visibility for Splinterlands and all of these things that we're up to be a part of, you know, our community is you know, what's most important. And there is Matt Rosen, who I dropped the ball on getting the link to.
Welcome.
So my apologies, Matt.
Yeah, no problem. Can you guys hear me?
You can.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah, I was like running around texting John trying to find where it was.
Yeah, sorry about that. You want to do a quick introduction? So I'll set the stage for you. I think the majority of the audience here is going to be existing community members within the YGG Splinterlands sub-DAO. But we also probably have some other groups as well, and then this will get streamed out, so it'll be visible and publicly as well. So,
so right now is not the AMA. We're just talking about the AMA.
No, this is the AMA.
This is
we're
the
live.
AMA. All right, cool.
Welcome to the middle of the stream.
With that in mind, you know, this is a really cool occasion to have Matt on because, you know, Matt, why don't you introduce yourself and talk about what you've done?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, I'm one of the founders of Splinterlands, and I've just been a gamer my whole life, and you know, in 2017, 2018, just saw the opportunity that we have here to, you know, redefine how gaming works for the benefit of the players. So ultimately, like, everything we're building is just what, myself and, my business partner and everyone here, like, this was just what we want to play as games, so that's the entire thing behind everything we do. We're just like, wouldn't it be cool if you could do this, or wouldn't it be awesome if you could do that? And then that's what we do. So we're really trying to just share that, with as many other gamers as we can.
Yeah, and I in a lot of conversations, I'll describe that as, we've all had those conversations at various points in our lives where, you're sitting around with some friends and you're having the wouldn't it be cool if conversation, fill in the blank. And frankly, that's exactly how Splinterlands started, right? It was Matt and Eggy sitting there saying, wouldn't it be cool if, we took advantage of these benefits that blockchain technology provides us and build a game that we think can improve upon some of our favorite games, some of the things we wish our favorite games would do. And one of the biggest benefits of blockchain, we talked about the Rift Watcher sale funding the DAO with SPS and so on. But this idea of decentralizing the game itself is really interesting. Matt, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about your thoughts on decentralizing the game and why you want to do that?
Well, I mean, that's ultimately why we're all here and doing this. I mean, if we weren't, then it would just be Web 2 gaming. So that's, I mean, I guess that's a lot of why people don't like this space, or like, why it seems like such a scam and everything, because there's so many projects that's just like NFTs and blockchain, and they just use that as like buzzwords to try to get money. And they have been very successful in getting money from people and funding from venture capitalists and all this stuff. But we are here to do something different, right? And the something different is a decentralized gaming platform, and that's really all it is, right? So NFTs are like one step, right, which is just decentralized asset ownership. But I'd like to have a fully decentralized game in every aspect. So the concept of a DAO, and like players being able to control the aspects of the game and the tokens. And then at some point, I would like to get to the point where people can run their own Splinterlands battle servers, independently all over the world. So I mean, the simplest test is just like, if our company was shut down for whatever reason, could this whole entire thing still operate? So that's the goal. Like, in one sentence is, I would like to try to get to a point where our company could go away completely and the entire ecosystem in game could still operate. Just being run by a distributed group of people anonymously.
So Matt, I have a question for you, and I understand like why this is so attractive as a player. Like, this is great. Like, this is exactly what I want out of a game, and maybe that's your whole motivation for doing this. But can you pitch to other companies maybe why this is a good idea and why they should also structure their game this way? What made you go down this path? And it's amazing to me as a player, and it's exactly what I'm looking for. I've been a part of Web3 games that are decentralized and going decentralized, and ones that are very much not. And decentralized is what I'm looking for. But how do we get other developers to also look for that? Like, what's the key there?
Well, I mean, the key is, like you said, if that's what players actually want, then that's where it's going to go. So if there are some products that are delivering that, and there's some products that aren't, and that's what really players want, and the players go to the products that are delivering it, then everyone's going to eventually move to that, right? You're not going to, if you're building, like, I just see, like, I agree with you, right? We're building this because as players we want this, and if that's what all the players want, and all the players are going to those type of games, then why would any company not do that going forward? It just doesn't make sense. So to me, it's more like, for any company, you just want to look at what the customers want. Like, can you do something really cool and new and unique for your customers? How do you, like, I've been a game developer for most of my life, and have worked on developing my own games, and there's it's almost impossible to develop a traditional game without like huge VC backing or any of that. So this is the opportunity. This is the new frontier in gaming. And I just think eventually you're going to look back and be like, I can't believe there was a time when, companies owned everything and did everything. It's going to seem weird at some point. I don't know how long it'll be, but so I mean
So you're saying
that's
just
what I
listen
say
to your customer. Interesting.
yeah.
So, question, and I'm going to give some of the. So I shared earlier that I'm kind of the exact. I was the guy who would drop thousands of dollars on pay to win games in order to be competitive. That I didn't get to keep my assets. I was a crypto skeptic because of a bunch of reasons and didn't really want to get into gaming like crypto at all, for a number of different beliefs. And then heard an NPR article talking about the metaverse and play to earn gaming and started doing some research and said, hey, this kind of sounds cool. And I really do like the trading economy side of stuff. And so this kind of marries a bunch of things for me because you built this really complex economy and ecosystem in addition to a fun game that is the type of game that I would have liked to invest in also. And one of the things, so I went in big. I took a lot of money that I'd been playing with options and other trading strategies. And I said, look, I can chase yield in Splinterlands and play a game that I'm enjoying playing too. Why not do that? And I'm now a six-figure investor in the ecosystem, started in January 2022 and have been, running like crazy trying to keep up with depreciation, but also taking advantage of all the yield opportunities that y'all have created to do this. And so it's really exciting. But one of the things that I questioned was you put all your time and resources. Splinterlands, the company, paid money to your developers, you as the product designer, but also your creatives to build Rift Watchers. And all of that profit went to the DAO. And there are people who would question, how can you survive being that altruistic about what you're doing? And when I asked some of your team members that question, the answer I got back was that basically you and Aggie had this vision for wanting to see crypto done right. And there were so many people that were kind of the pump and dump, whatever things out there. And that your longer term vision is to be basically a consultant to the DAO or to other companies like you're trying to do with GLS and, the other Warner Media and that sort of thing. So I guess, how does that vision work? I mean, is that right? I haven't ever asked that question of you guys directly of, what the thought process for that is, but is that really, you see yes, it's listen to your customer, but it's also, I think, maybe a bigger image, a bigger picture, for helping normalize crypto and all the things that are good about it while lessening the things that people would say detract from it.
Yeah, it's 100% right. And let me give like a big picture overview, right? Because we're figuring this out as we go, right? This is not a tried and true business model. So like, we're very clear, with our community, like we are working with them to figure this out. We're going to make mistakes. We've done things wrong in the past. We're going to try. We're going to fix things. So it's some people get a little confused when we talk about these things. They're like, well, this part isn't like that, or this, like, yeah, it's a work in progress. So I want to give a big picture of like what we're going for, which is you alluded to. So I mean, ultimately, to me, there's only one difference between Web 2 and Web 3. The only difference is where the money goes. That's it. So all the business models, they're the same. The products are the same, right? There's games, there's social media apps, there's whatever it is. The difference is Web 2, the money goes from consumers to companies, usually, and then there's VCs and all the people who cash out from those companies, right? And Web 3, the difference is that the consumers, the users, are owners, not like in like stock owners, like in the SEC term, but they own assets, right? They own tokens, they own NFTs, they own whatever it is. So the money that comes into the ecosystem really just goes into those assets in general. That's it. So the only difference is where the money goes. So it just changes. It's not just consumers, all the money going to the company owners and VCs. It's, consumers put in money, time, attention, whatever, and the money is distributed. And so that's ultimately what we want to get to. And as part of the distribution of the money, is the concept of a DAO is, everyone who owns tokens can vote and can control what to do with the funds that come into the ecosystem. And one of the things that they'll need is developers, right? They want to have new features, they want to do new things, whatever. You need to develop that. You need people to do things. So ultimately, like, the full long-term vision that I would love to try to get to is where our company is a contract developer that the DAO pays, right, out of the funds coming in. We see, people say, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we have land, or we have this, or we have this new feature, or this new set? And we say, okay, great, it's going to cost us $2 million to design the whole new set and pay the artists and do all this and release it and everything, and the DAO votes to pay us to do it. I mean, and in theory, they could hire another company, to do these things. So that's like the long term vision and goal of this whole thing. And right now we're trying to figure out how to get there. So we're in like we're sort of like transitioning. So we do two different types of sets. There's like a main set release, which is Chaos Legion. And then we have these, like, we call them mini sets. They're like, they've roughly half the number of cards, which is Rift Watchers. And so we kind of split it up. So the main edition, we sell as revenue to our company, and that's currently how we pay our bills and employees and everything. But the mini set, like you mentioned, all the revenues, all the funds from that goes directly to the DAO. So like in the meantime, before we get to this, whole concept of where we're just a software developer for the DAO, we've split it up that way. So it's kind of like, one part goes to the company, one part goes to the DAO. And, I don't know, hopefully we'll transition more and more toward the DAO over time.
So sorry to interrupt. In my day job, I'm a COO coordinating some of this stuff. So how long as a DAO holder can we count on the company Splinterlands designing these mini sets for revenue for free before the DAO needs to start thinking about, hey, we have to pay? Or is your vision that we would pay Splinterlands for designing both a mini set and a full set and a mini set in the future, and then you get to keep, part of that contract negotiation is you guys keep, it's the current model basically where you keep the revenue from the main set, and the mini set comes back to the DAO for us to provide sustainability and continue to give rewards to the players and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for the time being, that's how we have it structured, where we sell a main set, and then we have other sets like the mini set that go toward the DAO. But I would say there's not like, it's going to work this way until this time, right? This is just sort of a process. We're trying things out. We work with the community when there's different ideas that come up. So everything's very like, figure it out as we go, see what works. I mean, obviously we need to make sure, for the time being, that we have enough money to keep the company running until we can get to that fully decentralized point. Otherwise things fall apart. But I think generally, and also it's not to say that maybe this stays the business model. It doesn't mean you can't have a decentralized game where the DAO can say, it could be a different arrangement where maybe Splinterlands gets to create the sets and release them and sell them, and keep the funds from that for further development of the game. But everything after that essentially goes to the DAO. So it's sort of a normal revenue model for a lot of NFT projects, is like the company sells the NFTs initially, and then like trading fees or whatever things go to the DAO. Another thing that benefits the SPS holders is that we also we sell the packs. You can pay for Chaos Legion, for example. It's $4, which you can pay with PayPal or crypto or whatever, or 4,000 dark energy crystals. So if dark energy crystals, like they are currently, just due to the market, if 4,000 dark energy crystals is worth less than $4 on an external market, players just get a discount. So you can basically get a discount on Chaos Legion packs right now. And our company is we're taking that hit because we're accepting those dark energy crystals at that value. But that's really a really neat thing that we've sort of like stumbled into. It wasn't really on purpose, but we've created inadvertently a kind of stable coin that's backed by products, right? It's not backed by dollars in a bank or crypto in a vault or an algorithm. It's just we have products priced in it, which if you think about it, that's how the dollar is backed, right? Oil in particular is priced in dollars. So and everything else is priced in dollars. So if there's anywhere you could get dollars for 70 cents, that arbitrage would be bought up like that because you can actually
Yeah.
buy stuff that you want. So, we price all of our products that we as a company sell also in dark energy crystals, which gives them value. They'll never go to zero unless nobody literally wants to buy our products anymore. Um, and on the flip side, if there's extra demand for dark energy crystals, so they go above that rate of like 1,000 per dollar, then we have a mechanic similar to other projects where you can burn SPS. You can burn $1 worth of SPS to get 1,000 dark energy crystals. So basically, as there's demand for dark energy crystals in the game, then it will all that value that comes in to getting dark energy crystals will eventually go to the SPS token, right? As people buy and burn SPS to get that arbitrage opportunity. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that clearly. But I mean, I use Terra Luna as an example, and
But yeah,
like we took the good part of Terra Luna, right? The good part of
right.
Terra Luna was that you could burn Luna tokens to print the stable coin Terra, right? That part worked very well. It had all the value that was going into the stable coin in the ecosystem going into Luna, and the token went up, tremendously. The where it fell apart was how it actually backed the stable coin, which was just that reverse conversion. That totally had the whole thing fall apart. But we don't do that. You can't convert dark energy crystals back to SPS. Instead, dark energy crystals are given value because we sell an actual product that people want.
Right.
Like I tell people, like, if you could spend Terra, at your grocery store or wherever, if you could buy a hamburger for $10 or 10 Terra tokens, then it never would have crashed, right? Because everyone would have been like, oh, it's cheaper on the markets. I can go buy it and then use it to buy all my groceries or go out to dinner or whatever. So I just think this whole concept of a product-backed stablecoin is really cool. And I know I got off onto a tangent, but that's also another way, we as a company provide value to the community and to the DAO, is like we will back the token with our products. We commit to always doing that. And then there's lots of other areas within the game where you have to use dark energy crystals, like leveling up your guilds. There's certain things that are only purchasable for dark energy crystals. And our land expansion is going to feature dark energy crystals heavily. So as like people, and those just get burned when they're spent. So as people buy the dark energy crystals on the market and pushes the price up, then all that value just goes to the SPS token. So at a high level, what we're doing is just, I try to get involved with as many DeFi projects and GameFi projects and like learn everything that's going on out there in the crypto world, which is a lot. And we just say, well, this works really well, or this is cool, or that didn't work. How can we take the things that worked or the parts of them that work and that are cool and just apply them to Splinterlands?
Yeah. One thing that we talked about early in the AMA, Matt, before you joined, was, like who is our audience going forward, right? So like, it's very clear that we have an existing community and groups of sub communities in Web3, but really our intention is to make this space appealing and acceptable to the broader Web2 audiences, right? And so there's implications there with the specific blockchain that we use, Hive. There's other implications with some of the things that we're doing with aligning with IP that is recognizable, whether it's Warner Music Group or Major League Soccer and so on. But I've always really enjoyed hearing your take on Hive blockchain, and I gave it a description earlier, but can you maybe describe what that means for onboarding Web2 gamers in, and how that helps us to make crypto and DeFi frictionless?
Yeah, we have so much going on. There's like so many different areas to discuss. So, ultimately, we didn't set out to build like a gamified yield farming application. We didn't go like, oh man, people put so much money into these things. We can just like put a cool like game thing and people can earn yield. It was like, we are gamers, like way before crypto ever existed. And we just like building cool games. And so that's the focus. And that's what gives everything value. I'm going to get to your question. I know I'm like going a little roundabout thing, but so ultimately, if like you look at a project and you're like, oh, is this just like a Ponzi type project, or is it something else? You have to look at, do they have a product, right? And games are a product. People pay billions of dollars annually playing games, and they have there's no yield farming. There's no return on investment. It's just people like games. So that's our product. That's what we make. That's our like main core thing, is to make games. And so if we're just making games, our main audience is gamers, right? That's who plays games. That's who spend money on games. So we want to make a game for gamers. It's not just like, hey, you're a crypto degen, right? It's not just that. So that's why when we launched in 2018, we were like, we can't do this on Ethereum. I mean, even still now, but especially back then, it was like, most of the gamers I know, they would never be able to do this. They'd never be able to set up their Ethereum wallets and buy Ether and pay the gas fees and do all this stuff. We're like, it just doesn't work. And then on top of that, a problem that I still haven't seen fixed today. I mean, obviously now there's a lot of chains that like much faster transaction times, no gas fees, all that stuff. But there's one problem that they still haven't fixed is you look at any project, DeFi, GameFi, whatever, in Web3, companies would be like, come buy our NFTs and spend thousands of dollars and do all this stuff. And oh, by the way, if you click on a phishing link by accident and you get hacked, you lose everything. And sorry, we can't help you. You're screwed. And like that, I'm surprised even that the crypto community kind of puts up with that. But that just like, that's a non-starter for us. Like if you want to make a game for gamers, you can't ask them to spend tons of money in it, and then they're screwed if they do anything wrong. So we, that's why we went with what at the time was the Steam blockchain and is now the Hive blockchain, because it really has the only solution that we've found to be able to handle that. It has, just like real quick at a high level, it takes a lot of time to go into all the details, but I'd be happy to talk about that separately. But a Hive wallet is not just a public-private key pair like most other chains. You actually create an account. You give it a name. So your wallet address, mine is YabatMat. That's like the actual wallet address that you would send crypto to, or cards or NFTs to. It's not 0x759, whatever. And then associated with my name, my account, YabatMat, is multiple different key pairs, multiple different public-private key pairs, and they have different levels of permissions. So there's like one key pair that can only be used to play Splinterlands, right? You can battle. You can't actually move any assets out of the account or do anything financially. And so that's what most people use, when they just play the game, they log into the website or whatever. And, if that gets stolen, like no big deal. And you can change the keys associated with the account. So if that one key gets stolen, no big deal. There's like a master key that can change it. And there's even a decentralized account recovery process, where even if all your keys get hacked, you can actually lock your cards in the game so they can't be transferred for a period of time. So let's say your entire account gets hacked, then the hacker could only start unlocking your cards. And you can even sign up for notifications. So you get a Discord message or an email, my cards have been unlocked. And then you can say, oh no, my account's been hacked. And you have like 7 days or so to go and do this account recovery process, kick the hacker out of your account, and then you haven't even lost your cards. You can just stop them from being unlocked, and the hacker hasn't been able to steal anything. And so we're still figuring this out and trying to make it as easily understandable and experienced as possible. But this is all just part of the reasons why we feel like we are best positioned to like have the first Web3 game that is just for regular gamers and gets them into crypto.
So
it's really
Matt,
interesting to hear.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Marcus.
It's really interesting to hear what all the reasons behind Hive. I don't think I had quite appreciated all those particular reasons why Hive was chosen. There was a question. I don't know if it's the same one that Gene was alluding to, but it was asking about. It was from Baron. Let me get back to it. Asking about more all of the transactions being visible on the blockchain. Is that something that we could look forward to in the future?
Yeah, I mean that was also another reason why like no transaction fees and fast transaction times were important. Is everything that happens, in the game pretty much is on the blockchain, which is different than a lot of other games. We have so it used to be that literally like every battle transaction was also on the blockchain, and as we got to like 10 million battles a day, that was unsustainable. It just even though the Hive blockchain could technically support it, it got very difficult. So now we have a system where for every battle, every time you find a match, every time you submit a team, it's not published publicly to the Hive blockchain, but the transaction is still signed. Like you still create the message and you sign it with your private keys, so everything is still provably fair. And that's part of what we're working out as we go toward like what I talked about earlier of a decentralized like game servers, like decentralized battle servers that anyone could run around the world. I mean, that's the way we're looking at that working, where like these signed transactions are sent to the specific battle server, signed with your private keys, so everything is provable. So like there's no way someone could like battle on your behalf if they don't have your private keys, because you could prove like, hey, show me this signed message where I submitted this team or looked for this battle, um and they wouldn't have it, obviously, because you didn't sign it. So um aside from specifically battling, everything else is currently and is planned to be published publicly to the Hive blockchain, and you can see that at any Hive blockchain explorer like hiveblocks.com. And that's our goal, to make sure, because a lot of most Web3 games, like, okay, they have NFTs and they're on Ethereum, but the whole game itself is just like centralized web servers, and they just the company just reads your assets from Ethereum in your wallet and lets you use them in the game. But that really doesn't
Right.
that doesn't actually get to the whole purpose of this, where that company could still say like, okay, you have these assets in your wallet, but we're not letting you use them in the game because we don't like you, because you said something we disagree with, or whatever the reason. So it doesn't really solve the problem. So it really, everything that happens in the entire game has to be at the very least signed messages based on private keys and publicly verifiable, and then able to be operated by multiple companies. So if like our company says, hey, we're not letting you battle because we don't like you, it'd be important that other people around the world could also run their own battle servers, and you don't have to go through our website or our things to participate.
So there was another question from Baron that I think was the one that Gene was actually referring to. And do you know if there's anything like this, like the ability to adjust what the permissions can do?
So on the core Hive blockchain itself, no. But like our game is, you could think of it as sort of like our own smart contracts that like we built on top of Hive. So we are able to say what the different key, like Hive just has these different keys, and we're able to specify what those keys can do within Splinterlands. And although we don't have this currently, we could make it so that users can pick what their keys can do, right? So we have it set like that this key can do these things, this other key can do these other things, and that's just for everyone, kind of a blanket thing. But there's no reason it can't be customizable per user. And you could say, I want this key to be able to do this action and not this other action, and someone else could have it be totally different. It's just not, as always, these things come down to priorities, and development priorities. So if it's something that the community wants, more so than the other things that we're working on, then we'll prioritize that. But it's 100% possible.
So I guess that brings us to another question here. Talking from Tails, talking about the development team and how productive it's been recently. If you have any more comments on that.
Yeah, I mean, we were totally unprepared last year, I will say, for the crypto bull market and the boom with gaming and everything that happened. So we went through a tough time where our servers were crashing and we had way too much volume, and we it was a difficult time, and we rushed to hire new people and bring them in, and we got lots of good people. But it takes time, A, to bring them in, and B, for them to get like up to speed on the whole project and actually be be effective and contributing, not just like learning and working together. So it took a long time, roughly six months, maybe a little more. And then it was like, earlier this year, maybe around the April timeframe, that it started to click, and like all these new people we brought on all of a sudden started to really, be familiar with everything and be cranking out code. So we have a bunch of different teams within our development team that are all working on different projects. They're all doing it simultaneously. They all kind of know the system well enough to be able to do it on their own. And they have to combine everything together for these releases. What team one is working on this project that's being released at the same time as team two's project. So like all the investment that we put in new people over the last year has been really starting to pay off the last 4 or 5 months. And we even though it's a bear market now, this is not our first bear market. We've been here before. I have no doubt that there's going to be another bull market. Not financial advice. But we are, so this time we are planning to be ready. We are gonna, when the next bull market hits and things go crazy again, we are going to be ready. We are going to have, our servers are going to scale, our blockchain integration is going to scale, and we're going to have the team ready to like fix any issues that might come up and keep like delivering on the new features and just take full advantage of that next bull run.
So, speaking of what's coming next, we have a question here about deck usage. Can you give us any hot alpha on what's happening with land and what we can expect?
Yeah, I mean, so land has been a little bit of a sore subject because we launched that like late 2020, early 2021, and then that entire project got derailed because of things kind of went crazy in a good way last year. And we were like, we can't work on the land expansion, our whole game isn't working. We need to hire people. So we had to pause that whole project, but now it's back and going, almost to full steam, and we have a whole group dedicated to it. And so land is again one of those things where we were just like, wouldn't it be really cool if we did this? I don't know if I have time to like go into the whole thing. It's really cool, but it's sort of going to be like a empire building game within Splinterlands. And the idea is like, instead, there's going to be a whole new type of card, 2 new types of cards that we're adding to the game called item and spell cards. And instead of us, we were initially just like, oh, we'll just sell them in packs, right? We'll just make packs of cards and we'll sell them to people. We were like, but wouldn't it be cool if actually players could mint those cards themselves? So we came up with this whole land expansion where players will have land, they'll build buildings, they'll harvest resources, and they will mint the new item and spell cards. So we're never going to sell them. They won't be in packs. You can't buy them except from other players who have put in the time and effort with the land to make these new types of cards. And so to us, it's like the first kind of like metaverse land that will have like a real value at the end. It's not just like to have the most land and be the king and show off. It's like you will be producing actual assets that people want to buy to play this game. Like even if someone doesn't know about land at all, they just come in, they want to play Splinterlands, they'll buy packs of the monster and summoner cards from us. And then when they want these other cards, they have to buy them on the market from players who produce them via the land. So we just, that's the quickest thing. And we thought that was a really cool concept. But like in Clash of Clans, be similar to something like that. Anyone who's played that knows that it might take like a day, like 24 hours to upgrade your building, or you can pay them money to speed that up. Right. But instead of like paying us money, you're just going to be like burning dark energy crystals to do it. Right. So again, the difference is just instead of paying money to a company, you are basically putting value into the ecosystem, which benefits all the token holders, right? All the asset holders. So that's kind of, if you just think of Clash of Clans, but like every time you spend money, you're instead burning the dark energy crystals token, which all the value from that goes to SPS. At the end of the day, like that's how it works, and that's part of what we're like. That would be so cool? Like, so we want to build that.
Yeah,
That's a really good thing to call out. I don't think I had fully appreciated that every time DEC was spent, that it was being burnt.
Yeah, I mean, not if you spend it buying like packs from us, right? If like we sell the packs of Chaos Legion, then the DEC is paid to our company as revenue. We never sell it. We don't sell it on the market, but we do use it, for other things like facilitating market purchases. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. But other than those cases, then the DEC is burned. So if you upgrade your guild building or something, all just burned. It just goes to the ecosystem.
And that actually
Gotcha.
touches on, and I'll try and keep this short, but that actually touches on one of the most important things I think Splinterlands did is make it easy for people to bring money into the ecosystem as compared to some of the other projects where I'd have to go through a central exchange and convert to their token. In a Web 2 game, I just use Google Pay. But in Splinterlands, I use PayPal, I get my credits, and you facilitate that conversion to DEC. That makes it so much easier for a normie like me to bring money into the ecosystem. And I'll be the first to admit, I brought most of the money in by maxing out credit cards and paying them off rather than trying to wire funds into the game because I got cash back from my credit cards.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
I was able to facilitate, buying the credits that way. Making it easy for people to come on board is going to be one of the most important things. And I just think credits get undersold in that capacity.
I dream of a day where we don't have to offer credits and it's just so easy for people anywhere to buy the crypto and just use it because all the crap we have to deal with the KYC and everything, it's a pain. But again, to me it's a non-starter for like just gamers, for non-crypto people. Like we have to do that until hopefully one day it's easier to purchase crypto. I know you guys talked about Rooney a little bit before I got on, but if I could take like the last minute. I also can stay on a little longer if you guys have available, but otherwise, I just wanted to say like a sentence about it because Rooney to me was one of these things like, I go to like NFT NYC and all these things, and people they have their Bored Ape pins and their CryptoPunk stickers, and they have it as their avatars on Twitter and all this stuff, and that's one of the things I realized like, hey, we don't have this in the game, and I love that stuff. Like I'll be like, I want my stickers and my pins, and I want to give them out, and people like tie their identities to their CryptoPunk or their ape or their goblin or whatever it is. So I was like, it would just be so cool if we had a Splinterlands card where like you could have your own unique version of it, right? And that could be yours, and that could be your profile picture, and you could show it off, and nobody has that one, right? So we kind of married the concept of a generative NFT profile picture project with a trading card game, and like I don't know of any instance where that has ever been done. I mean, you think of like Magic the Gathering. There's like these the Black Lotus or whatever, the Charizard in Pokemon, and those are really cool, but like thousands of other people also have them. What if you could have your Charizard, but like yours is unique? Yours is the only one with the purple fire and the green hat, right? And you can use it in the game also, or like if Hearthstone, you could have your own unique card that you could buy or sell or trade. And like, no one has that one that looks like that. So I just thought that was super cool. So anytime, we think something's super cool, it ends up going into Splinterlands. So that's what became Rooney. And I just think I'm super excited about it, for that reason. I think it's a super unique thing that hasn't been done before in a trading card game.
Totally agree. And we had kind of discussed just briefly that there were 6,500. Do you have anything to say about like how you came up with that number? I think we were generally in agreement that we liked it better than 10,000, but was there any reasoning behind that?
There was a lot of reasoning, and a lot of it's guesswork. Typically we want the cards to be scarce, right? So we wanted a low amount, but then the cost also has to be like commensurate. So we were even looking at smaller values, initially, like smaller mint amounts initially at higher prices, and then as we started like going out to more communities that like seeing how large the space was, we were like, well, I think it benefits us to make it a little larger, the mint size at a lower price point, just to try to make it as accessible for everyone. So it's like a balance, right? Accessibility and scarcity. You want it somewhere in the middle. So there was a lot of back and forth. We ended up at that number. I don't know if it's the perfect number, probably not, but I think they'll sell out. I think it'll be hard to get one if you don't have a whitelist spot. And my goal is that we're going to take in some money from the initial sale of the project. And then after that, my hope is that the floor price goes up significantly, and the people who got them in the mint are the ones who ultimately benefit significantly, because that's the best marketing we could hope for.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Matt, I don't know how much longer we can go, but I do want to kind of get through a couple of things that are going to tie up at least part of the conversation, and then maybe we can finish up from there. But, generally speaking, the big picture is, okay, we want to help to drive mass adoption of Web3, of crypto, make it frictionless, do it by producing product and entertainment value, just like in the Web2 gaming world, right? It really requires us to do two things. One, we need to grow our ecosystem of players, right? So we need to grow the community and do that all of the right ways. But we also need the capital to come into the ecosystem to provide enough of that product for the players to play with and support the economy itself as well. So really those two things can happen at the same time in the form of individuals who are buying products for themselves. It can also happen in the form of, more centralized investment in the form of like gaming guilds or guild equivalent type organizations, right? Which is kind of the type of thing that I tend to work with. So in light of that, there's a couple things that I would like to share. I know earlier in the AMA, I made an appeal. Anybody out there that's listening to this that is a part of other communities that you think would like the types of things that we're doing, that would like our ethos and could potentially consider becoming a part of this, I would love your help to make that happen. So I do have and I'm going to share my screen briefly just so that you can see this. I do have a couple of things to share, and I'm not quite sure if everybody can see my screen right now or not. There we go.
There we go.
I'm going to share this deck. This is just going to be a publicly accessible view-only thing, right? But it's a very short set of slides. This is really meant for others that are helping to set up AMAs for us. But it just gives some basic stats on who we are, like where are we at with Splinterlands and where we're headed next, and some of these other projects that we're doing, whether it be Rooney or Major League Soccer, the whole Genesis League sports ecosystem, Warner Music Group. There's other things that I think we're going to be announcing as well. And then I dedicate a little bit of detail here specifically to the Rooney project itself. And there is a little bit of a ticking clock on this because I know mint date's going to happen October 25th is the idea. That's not too far off. And so, I'm hoping to have as many of these types of conversations as we can leading up to that. Because as Matt pointed out, I think it's going to be awfully difficult to get a Rooney from the mint without a whitelist spot. So we are offering whitelist spots to those that can help us, set up these AMAs and as giveaways for the AMAs. We'll be doing a giveaway on this one. I know Lorcas has shared the form multiple times in the chat. Just go ahead and hit that form, drop your ETH wallet address in there and how we might be able to get in touch with you if we need to. But we'll arm you with this. So we'll send this link around. I'll share this with Lorcas here in a moment so that he can share it. And then the other one that I have is really just a follow-up. And this can be used any way you see fit. Same idea, just a view-only public kind of deck. But it goes through a couple of things here at a very high level. So this idea of bulk purchasing, there are things that we can do for guilds, especially when you start to think about pulling money together, not investment advice, but pulling money together and behaving like a guild or being a guild. So we want to enable that type of behavior because we know that that's going to drive more players into the ecosystem as well, in addition to the capital that the ecosystem itself needs to continue to grow and sustain. So I make some mention of that and how to get in touch if you're interested or have other communities interested and some of the structure around this and some of the different things we can do with the bonuses. But then I also kind of just make a little bit of a note here on each of these projects, some high-level notes, and then a link out to learn more, whether it's Splinterlands or Rooney, Tower Defense, Genesis League Soccer, and the very little bit that we know publicly or that the public knows so far about Warner Music Group as well. So I want to make sure to share these things out. Lorcas, I think you have the link to this one already. So I'll go ahead and grab this and share it with you. And then I'll also share over this little one here with the AMA scheduling. So just an appeal out to the community. Of course, nobody has to do any of these things. But if you feel like you know somebody that would benefit from it, that might like it, I would love your help.
Thank you so much. If we have time, I have one more question that I missed. I think this is for you, Matt. There was, I think it's mostly, it's very interesting to our audience because we are in the process of growing our own DAO and solving some of these problems. So the question was, how are proposals going to be raised in the future for the SPS DAO? I think currently, well, if you want to go into how it's done currently and what you see in the future, I think that would be great.
Yeah, we just released our proposal system, a few weeks ago. So to start, like, we are going to be the ones putting forth the proposals for voting on, and it's really just so we test out the system, we see how it works, we get feedback, and then as soon as makes sense, the plan is just to open it to anyone to make a proposal, right? That's otherwise, what's the point? But yeah, so the idea is you'll have to spend SPS tokens. There'll be some type of fee just to prevent people from like spamming dumb proposals. But the goal is that anyone can make literally any proposal that they want, and people can vote on it. And like I said, all this stuff is a work in progress. We're looking at other DAOs. We're seeing kind of things that work and things that don't, and we'll try to use the best practices. But we just work together, the company and the community, to figure out a process that will work for us and keep iterating on it. I think that's a key thing, is like everyone thinks that like when something's put out, like that's it, that's how it's going to be forever. And if they don't like something about it, then they start yelling and get all mad. And like people have to understand, like literally everything is open to change if that's what the community wants. So like we try to go out with something that like seems good as best as we can figure it out. But if the community doesn't like it, it gets changed, right? So that's where we're at with the proposal system. It's brand new. We're still figuring it out. We're the ones that submit the proposals for right now, just so we don't just get overwhelmed with a big mess of stuff to deal with. And then once it's been going smoothly for maybe a couple months or something, we just open it up.
Thank you very much. I think that's very insightful. I think there's just generally been questions around whether it would cost something to post one, or whether you needed to own amount of SPS in order to create a proposal. So that's great to know. Thank you.
Yeah, the plan was for a cost that gets burnt. I mean, I want it to be a significant but not crazy cost, right? If someone submits a proposal, we want it to be like a serious proposal, right? And we don't want people to just be like, it's just like, a few SPS. I'm just going to throw up every dumb thing that comes to mind. But we don't want it to be like crazy expensive. So that's again something we'll pick a value that we think works. We'll talk to the community about it, but that's something that also could be changed in the future.
Thank you so much. And I know that we have gone well over an hour here, so I want to thank you to 16-bit. John, it's great to have you here. Gene, it's great to see your face. You guys are all welcome for me hiding my face. You're very much better off for it.
No problem. I mean, thanks for having us. I hope this, I hope your community sees this as exciting an opportunity as we see it.
I think that we do. Gene and I are two of our game ambassadors for YGG SPL, and I would say that the two of us are very excited about it, and I think that most of our community is too. There's just so much going on, and it's really exciting to see all these changes come after this time of retooling and development that went into making all this happen. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I agree, because like I said, I'm a player, so we're doing this all because like I want to play it. I want to do these things, so that's why I'm super excited about it.
Well, do you have any final words for us, Matt, to send us out?
I mean, I guess at a high level, I try to share like the big vision, because I think that's the most important for everyone coming in at this point. And just to be clear that we are not there yet, right? It's a vision, because we're not. If we were there, it wouldn't be a vision. So we have a lot of people say, "Oh, you said this in XYZ, and that's not how it is now," or "This is different." Yeah, we have a lot of work to do. But if for people who generally share that vision, you have the opportunity to like get in now while things are still clunky, while we're still changing things and updating things and adding new things. And like if we're successful with the vision and being one of the first more mainstream Web3 games, you'll be the ones who have all the assets that all the new players are purchasing, right? We'll be selling new card packs, but all the old ones, all the land and SPS and things like all that, they're going to buy it from the players who are in now, who are getting it now. So that's really what it is. It's like, there's also hopefully the fun product currently, but on top of that, you have a chance to be part of making this vision happen and benefiting from it. Even if you're not part of the company, that's again the difference between Web3 and Web2 is like where that money, when it comes in, is going to go. It's going to be to the people who are part of this earlier on.
Thank you, Matt. And
Rift Watcher packs opening today.
Yeah, soon.
2 p.m. Is that the right?
That's the plan. Yeah, 2 p.m. I think.
Still the plan. Yes. So not far off. 46 minutes from now.
All right.
Go get your Rift Watchers packs. We need more airdrops.
Yes, absolutely.
They will come.
Thank you, and Matt, thank you also to what you said. I know as a player and an owner of assets, it means a lot that the team does share their advanced plans, even if the details aren't known yet. So thank you for doing that, even if it does mean that you guys take some flack sometimes. Definitely appreciate it.
Always going to take flack, but it's worth it.
All right, thank you, everyone.